I still remember the exact moment I thought I had everything figured out. Standing in our kitchen on a Tuesday evening, admiring how the diamond on my finger caught the light while Greg chopped vegetables for dinner. 3 carats, emerald cut, white gold band. The ring I'd once casually pointed out in a jewelry store window 18 months ago. "What's that smile about?" Greg asked, knife pausing mid-slice through a red pepper. "Just thinking about how in 6 months, I'll be Mrs. Harvey." The words felt both thrilling and strange in my mouth. Chelsea Harvey. After 29 years as Chelsea Winters, I was ready for the change. Greg set down his knife and crossed the kitchen, wrapping his arms around my waist from behind. His cologne, the expensive one I'd given him for Christmas, enveloped me as he pressed his lips to my neck. "6 months is too long," he murmured. "I'd marry you tomorrow if we could." I leaned back against his chest, savoring the warmth. "Your mother would never forgive us if we eloped." "True. Margaret Harvey expects nothing less than the society wedding of the season." He chuckled, returning to his chopping. "Speaking of which, did you finalize that appointment with the florist? Thursday at 2, and the cake tasting is next Tuesday." I pulled up the wedding planning spreadsheet on my tablet, color-coded, meticulously organized, everything in its place. "Oh, and Liz wants to know if we've decided on the final guest count for the invitations." Something flickered across Greg's face, so brief I almost missed it. Tension around his eyes, a slight tightening of his jaw. "About that," he said, focusing intently on the vegetables, "I was thinking we should keep it under 200. 200? I laughed. "Greg, your mother's list alone has nearly that many. Add my family, our friends. We'll trim it down." His tone was sharper than usual. "It's getting out of hand." I set down my tablet, studying him. "Is everything okay? You seem tense." "Just work stuff." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "The Richardson merger is a nightmare." Before I could press further, his phone buzzed. Greg wiped his hands and checked the screen, his body language shifting instantly. "I need to take this," he said, already walking toward our bedroom. "It's Roland about the merger." I nodded, used to these interruptions. As a junior partner at his law firm, Greg was always on call, but something about his retreating back made my stomach tighten. The bedroom door closed. I stood alone in our kitchen, surrounded by half-chopped vegetables and silence. I wasn't proud of what I did next. I moved closer to the bedroom door, telling myself I just needed to know if I should continue dinner prep or if we'd be ordering in. But the truth was simpler. Something felt off. Greg's voice came through muffled but audible. "Can't talk about this now. She's right outside." A pause. "No, she doesn't suspect anything. Just stick to the plan." My heart stuttered. "Plan? What plan?" "It's all set for June 15th. Yes, at the Westbrook." Another pause. "Look, I've got to go. I'll call you tomorrow." June 15th, our wedding date, at the Westbrook Hotel where we'd booked the ballroom 11 months ago. I hurried back to the counter before Greg emerged, pretending to study the tablet. My hands trembled slightly. "Sorry about that," he said, returning to the cutting board. "Roland's panicking about the presentation tomorrow." I nodded, not trusting my voice. Greg resumed chopping, humming under his breath like nothing had happened. That night, lying beside him in bed, I stared at the ceiling while his breathing deepened into sleep. I told myself I was being paranoid. Greg loved me. We were getting married in 6 months. Whatever that call was about, it had a reasonable explanation. But at 2:17 a.m., with Greg snoring softly beside me, I found myself scrolling through his recent texts with Roland. Nothing suspicious, just work talk and plans for a golf game next weekend. I was about to put his phone down when a text from Paisley appeared. Paisley Whitney, Greg's childhood friend, the gorgeous brunette who always hugged him a beat too long at parties. The woman who, despite my best efforts, made me feel like an outsider in conversations peppered with inside jokes and shared memories. Confirmed the thing we discussed. All good for the 15th. She'll never know. My finger hovered over the message. Opening it would mark it as read. Greg would know I'd snooped. I set the phone down, heart racing. She'll never know. The words echoed in my head as I stared at the ceiling, the diamond on my finger suddenly feeling heavy and cold. The next morning, I kissed Greg goodbye as he left for work, smiling like nothing was wrong, like I hadn't lain awake all night, like I wasn't planning to take a sick day and drive to Paisley's boutique downtown. "I love you," he said at the door, straightening his tie. "Love you too," I replied automatically. As his car pulled away, I leaned against the doorframe, wondering if either of us had meant it. I didn't go to Paisley's boutique. At the last minute, standing in our foyer with car keys in hand, I realized confronting her would only give her a chance to lie. Instead, I drove to my office, called in sick, then sat in the parking lot staring at my phone. The text from Paisley kept replaying in my mind. "She'll never know." 3 words that cracked the foundation of everything I thought was solid. I opened my laptop and logged into our shared email account, the one we'd created for wedding planning. My hands were steady now, my mind clear with purpose. If there was something to find, I'd find it. Most of the emails were exactly what you'd expect. Confirmations from vendors, questions about menu options, seating chart drafts. Nothing suspicious. Until I found it. An email from the Westbrook Hotel's event coordinator, dated 3 weeks ago. "Dear Mr. Harvey, thank you for your updated guest list for the June 15th celebration. We've noted the changes and will adjust the seating chart accordingly. Please confirm the final head count by May 1st. I clicked on the attachment. A spreadsheet opened, listing names in alphabetical order. 212 guests. I scrolled through, recognizing Greg's family members, colleagues from his firm, college friends. Paisley's name was there, of course. Roland's, too. My finger froze on the scroll wheel. My name wasn't on the list, not just missing from the list. My parents weren't there either. Not Liz, not a single person from my side. I checked again, scrolling more slowly. Nothing. No one connected to me appeared anywhere on the guest list for my own wedding. My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. "How are you feeling? Need me to bring home soup?" I stared at his message, this casual act of caring from a man who'd apparently planned a wedding without me. "I'm fine," I typed back. "Just a headache." 3 dots appeared as he typed his response. "Take it easy. Love you." I set the phone down without replying. By noon, I'd gone through every email in the account. There were dozens of communications about the wedding that Greg had never mentioned. Details he'd finalized without consulting me. Decisions made as if my opinion didn't matter, or as if I wouldn't be there. I called Liz. "Hey, Sickie," she answered. "Shouldn't you be in bed watching trashy TV?" "I need to ask you something," I said, my voice surprisingly calm. "Has Greg talked to you about the wedding lately?" "Not really. Why?" "He hasn't mentioned any changes to the date or anything?" A pause. "Chelsea, what's going on?" "I don't know yet." I took a deep breath. "But I need a favor. Can you call the Westbrook and ask about an event on June 15th? Just say you're confirming details for the Harvey celebration." "Okay, but please, Liz, don't use my name. Just ask what kind of event it is." 20 minutes later, my phone rang. "So I called," Liz said without preamble. The woman at the Westbrook was super helpful. The Harvey event on June 15th is a corporate celebration for the law firm's merger with Richardson Group. The car suddenly felt too small. I rolled down the window, gulping air. Chelsea, you still there? It's not a wedding, I whispered. No, definitely not. She said it's been planned as a corporate event from the beginning. Booked 8 months ago. 8 months ago, when Greg and I were already engaged, when we were supposedly looking at wedding venues together. There's more, Liz continued, her voice gentle. I asked if there was any other event for Greg Harvey at the hotel this year. She checked and said no. The world tilted sideways. He's not planning to marry me. Maybe there's an explanation, Liz offered, but her tone betrayed her doubt. Maybe he's planning a surprise? A surprise wedding where I'm not on the guest list? My laugh sounded hollow even to my own ears. Where my family isn't invited. Come over, Liz said. You shouldn't be alone right now. I need to think. After hanging up, I sat motionless, watching people come and go from the office building. Normal people having normal days. People whose fiancés weren't planning elaborate celebrations without them. My phone rang again. Roland's name flashed on the screen. I answered without thinking. Chelsea, hey, is Greg with you? Roland sounded rushed. No, I'm not feeling well. I stayed home. Damn, he's not answering his phone, and we need to finalize some details for the 15th. The caterer needs a decision on the champagne for the toast. My heart pounded. The toast? Yeah, when Greg announces the merger, it's his big moment. First major deal as partner. He wants everything perfect. Of course, I managed. His big moment. Sorry to bother you with this. I know you're not involved in the planning. Greg wanted to keep you out of it so you wouldn't have to deal with the stress. How considerate. Actually, Roland, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded, I've been helping with some details. Remind me, what's the dress code again? Black tie, obviously. Greg's been obsessing over it for months. Says it's the most important night of his life. The most important night of his life. Not our wedding day. A corporate party. Thanks, Roland. I'll tell him you called. I hung up and started the car. As I pulled out of the parking lot, my engagement ring caught the sunlight, sending prisms dancing across the dashboard. By the time I reached our apartment, I knew exactly what I needed to do next. Our apartment felt different when I returned, smaller, filled with lies. I moved through the rooms like a detective, seeing everything with new eyes. The framed photo of us in Cabo, Greg's arm around my waist, my face turned up to his in adoration. The wedding magazines stacked neatly on the coffee table, the save the date sample cards we'd been discussing just last week, props, all of it. I sat on our bed, the bed where we'd made love 2 nights ago, where he'd whispered plans for our future, and tried to make sense of it all. Why maintain this elaborate charade? Why propose, plan a fake wedding, build a life with me if he didn't want to marry me? The engagement ring felt like it was burning my finger. I twisted it off and held it up to the light. 3 carats of empty promises. My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. Meeting running late. Home by 7. Love you. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and began searching through our photos from the past year. There were hundreds. Dinners, vacations, parties with friends. I studied Greg's face in each one, looking for signs I'd missed. Had he been faking it all along? Was anything real? In one photo from New Year's Eve, I noticed something I hadn't before. While I beamed at the camera, Greg was looking slightly to the side, at Paisley, who stood just out of frame in the next photo. I closed the laptop and did what I should have done hours ago. I called my mother. Chelsea, what a nice surprise, she answered, her voice instantly soothing. Mom, My voice cracked. I hadn't realized how close to breaking I was until I heard her voice. What's wrong, sweetheart? The whole story spilled out, the mysterious text, the guest list without my name, Roland's call about the corporate party. With each detail, my mother's silence grew heavier. I don't understand why he would do this, I finished, wiping tears from my cheeks. Oh, honey. Her voice was gentle but firm. You need to confront him. What if I'm wrong? What if there's an explanation? Then you'll hear it from him. But Chelsea, trust your instincts. They've always been good. After we hung up, I wandered into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator, staring blankly at its contents. On the top shelf sat a bottle of champagne, the expensive kind Greg liked. Saved for a special occasion, he'd said. Like celebrating a successful merger, perhaps. I grabbed the bottle and a glass, then settled on the couch. One glass turned into two as I waited, rehearsing what I would say when he walked through the door. At 6:45, my phone rang. Liz, I did something, she said without greeting. Don't be mad. My stomach dropped. What did you do? I called Krista Burns, our mutual friend who worked at Greg's law firm. Why would you? Because she knows things, Chelsea. She's at the firm every day. She hears things. I set down my glass. And? She's coming over to my place now. You should too. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Liz's living room, facing Krista. Her expression was a mixture of pity and discomfort that made my skin crawl. Just tell me, I said. Krista twisted her hands in her lap. I didn't know how to tell you this. I thought maybe it wasn't my place. Tell me what? The merger celebration is real, she said slowly. But there's more to it. Greg's been seeing someone at the firm, Meredith, from corporate accounts. The room tilted slightly. Seeing someone, you mean? They've been together for about 4 months. Everyone at the office knows. 4 months, while he was planning our wedding, while he was sleeping in our bed. There's a rumor, Krista continued, her voice dropping, that he's going to announce their engagement at the party. After the merger announcement, the champagne churned in my stomach. He's going to propose to someone else at the party he told me was our wedding date. Liz moved to sit beside me, her arm around my shoulders. I'm so sorry, Chelsea. Does everyone know? I asked, my voice small. About me, I mean. Do they all know I'm being played for a fool? Krista looked away. Not everyone, but some people, yes. The humiliation burned worse than the betrayal. Strangers pitying me, laughing behind my back while I picked out flower arrangements and cake flavors. I need to go, I said suddenly, standing up. You can't confront him like this, Liz said, grabbing my arm. You're upset. You've been drinking. I'm not going to confront him. A strange calm settled over me. Not yet. Back in my car, I sat for a long moment before starting the engine. The engagement ring sat heavy in my pocket where I'd stuffed it earlier. 3 carats, emerald cut, white gold band. I drove to a small jewelry store downtown, one I knew stayed open late. The elderly appraiser examined the ring carefully, turning it under a special light. Beautiful piece, he said. May I ask why you're selling? It doesn't fit anymore, I replied. He named a price, less than I'd hoped, more than I'd feared. Enough. I'll take it, I said. Walking out with a check instead of a ring, I felt lighter, the first step towards something, though I wasn't sure what yet. My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. Just got home. Where are you? I typed back. With Liz, girl stuff. Don't wait up. Then I called Paisley. Chelsea? She sounded surprised. Is everything okay? Actually, no, I said, my voice steady. We need to talk. Tomorrow, about Greg. There was a long pause before she answered. I think you're right. It's time. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't face sleeping next to Greg, pretending everything was normal while my insides twisted with betrayal. Instead, I crashed on Liz's couch, staring at the ceiling until dawn broke through the blinds. You look like hell, Liz said, handing me coffee in her chipped girl boss mug. Thanks. I took a sip, wincing at the strength. Liz always made coffee that could strip paint. What's the plan with Paisley? I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Greg. 6 texts ranging from concerned to irritated. Nothing from Paisley yet. I'm meeting her at Blackbird Cafe at 10. I set down the mug. I need to know how deep this goes, how long she's known. And then what? Liz perched on the arm of the couch. You confront Greg? I shook my head. Not yet. I need more information first. Information for what? The question hung between us. What exactly was I planning? To catch Greg in the act? To publicly humiliate him the way he'd humiliated me? I don't know, I admitted, but I'm done being the clueless fiancé. At 9:55, I walked into Blackbird Cafe. The familiar scent of coffee and pastries turned my stomach. Greg and I had spent countless Sunday mornings here, planning our future over croissants and lattes. Paisley was already seated in a corner booth, fidgeting with a sugar packet. She looked up when I approached, her expression guarded. Thanks for meeting me, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. I ordered you a vanilla latte, she said, pushing a steaming mug toward me. My usual order. Of course she knew it. How long have you known? I asked, skipping the small talk. Paisley's eyes dropped to the table. Known what? That Greg's been cheating on me, that our wedding is a sham, that he's planning to propose to someone else. Her head snapped up. Propose? To who? Meredith from his office. Paisley's face went through a series of emotions. Shock, confusion, then something like anger. That's not what he told me. What did he tell you? She hesitated, twisting the sugar packet until it burst, white granules spilling across the dark table. That he was having doubts about marrying you. That he needed time. The party at the Westbrook was supposed to be a celebration of the merger, yes, but also a way to buy time while he figured things out. By lying to me? By letting me continue planning a wedding that was never going to happen? He said he didn't want to hurt you. Her voice was small. He cares about you, Chelsea. He just... Don't. My voice cut through the cafe, sharper than I intended. A few heads turned our way. I lowered my voice. Don't tell me he cares about me. Men who care don't do this. Paisley looked genuinely distressed. I swear I didn't know about Meredith or any proposal plans. I studied her face, searching for deception. Either she was telling the truth or she was an exceptional actress. What was the text about? The one saying, she'll never know? Paisley flushed. The party? He didn't want you to know it wasn't really your wedding date. He was going to suggest postponing a few weeks before, claim a work emergency. And you helped him with this plan? I told him it was wrong, she said quickly. I told him to be honest with you. But you still helped him. The betrayal stung fresh. Paisley had been in our lives for years. I'd invited her into my home, shared meals with her, trusted her. I've known Greg since we were kids, she said, as if that explained everything. But I never wanted to see you hurt. Yet, here we are. Paisley reached across the table, her fingers stopping just short of mine. What are you going to do? I haven't decided yet. I took a sip of the latte she'd ordered me. It tasted like cardboard. But I need to know everything. When did this start? The doubts, the cheating, all of it. Paisley's story unfolded between sips of cooling coffee. Greg's cold feet had started months ago, around Christmas. The Meredith affair was news to Paisley, but she wasn't entirely surprised. There had been rumors about Greg's wandering eye long before he met me, rumors Paisley had dismissed as jealousy from others. There's something else, she said finally, something I probably should have told you a long time ago. My stomach clenched. What? Greg and I, we were together once. Years ago, before he met you. It didn't work out, but you still have feelings for him. The pieces clicked into place. Paisley's lingering hugs, her constant presence, the way she always managed to be included in our plans. She didn't deny it. It doesn't matter how I feel. He chose you. Did he? I laughed bitterly, because it seems like he's choosing Meredith now. As I walked out of the cafe, my phone buzzed with a text from Greg. Where are you? I'm worried. Please come home so we can talk. Home. The word felt hollow now. Instead of responding, I called Roland. Chelsea? He sounded surprised. Everything okay? Actually, I need a favor. It's about the party at the Westbrook. What about it? I want to help with the planning. It's important to Greg, which means it's important to me. There was a pause. Are you sure? Greg was pretty clear about keeping you out of it. I'm sure. My voice was steady. I want to surprise him. After hanging up, I stood on the sidewalk, watching people rush past. Normal people with normal lives. People who weren't plotting. Whatever it was, I was plotting. My phone buzzed again. A text from Liz. How did it go with Paisley? I typed back. I need your help with something. Something that might be a little crazy. Her response was immediate. I'm in. I finally went home that afternoon. The apartment was empty. Greg had left a note saying he had meetings all day. Perfect. I needed space to think, to plan. I sat cross-legged on our bed, laptop open, staring at the email Roland had forwarded, the complete planning details for the Westbrook event. Everything from the menu, filet mignon, Greg's favorite, to the seating chart, Meredith at the head table, right beside Greg, to the minute-by-minute schedule. 9:45 p.m., GH speech, plus special announcement. The special announcement made my stomach clench. I now knew exactly what it was. My phone buzzed with a text from Liz. Operation Karma is a go. What's next? I smiled despite everything. Liz had been my rock through this nightmare, ready to help me without question. I typed back, working on it. Meet me at your place at 7? As I closed my laptop, something caught my eye. The framed photo on our nightstand. Greg and me in Aspen last winter, snowflakes catching in my hair as he kissed my cheek. We looked happy. We had been happy, hadn't we? I picked up the frame, studying Greg's face. Had he been faking it even then? Had any of it been real? The sound of keys in the door jolted me back to reality. I shoved the laptop under the covers just as Greg walked into the bedroom. There you are. Relief washed over his face. I've been worried sick. Sorry, I said, forcing a smile. Girl emergency. Liz was having a crisis. He sat beside me on the bed, taking my hands in his. His touch, once comforting, now made my skin crawl. You could have called, he said, his thumb brushing over my knuckles. Then he frowned. Where's your ring? I'd forgotten about the ring. The ring I'd sold yesterday. I took it to be cleaned, I lied smoothly. It was looking a little dull. Greg nodded, seemingly satisfied. I missed you last night. I missed you too. The words tasted like ash. He leaned in to kiss me, and I let him, fighting the urge to pull away. His lips moved to my neck, his intentions clear. I can't, I said, pulling back. I'm not feeling well. That's part of why I stayed at Liz's. Concern creased his brow. What's wrong? Just a stomach ache. At least that wasn't a lie. My stomach had been in knots for days. Poor baby. He kissed my forehead. Get some rest. I need to head back to the office anyway. Big presentation tomorrow. After he left, I showered, scrubbing at my skin as if I could wash away his touch. Then I packed an overnight bag and headed to Liz's. She opened the door with a glass of wine in hand. You look like you need this more than I do. I took the glass and drained half of it in one gulp. That bad, huh? She led me to her living room, where Krista sat surrounded by papers. I've got everything you asked for, Krista said, handing me a folder. Guest list, schedule, security details. I flipped through the pages, my resolve strengthening with each detail. This is perfect. Chelsea, Krista said hesitantly, are you sure about this? It's not too late to just confront him privately. And let him spin more lies? I shook my head. He needs to face what he's done, publicly, the way he was planning to humiliate me publicly. I get that, but he's been living a double life, Krista, sleeping with Meredith while planning a wedding with me, letting me believe in a future that was never going to happen. My voice cracked. Do you know what that feels like? To realize your entire relationship was a lie? Krista looked away. No, I don't. I'm not just doing this for revenge, I continued, softer now. I'm doing it because he shouldn't get to walk away from this unscathed. He shouldn't get to be the good guy who everyone congratulates on his new engagement while I'm left picking up the pieces. Liz squeezed my shoulder. We're with you, whatever you need. We spent the next hour finalizing our plan. It was simple but effective. I would attend the party uninvited, wait for Greg's big announcement, and then make one of my own. What about after? Krista asked. Have you thought about that part? I hadn't. In my mind, the plan ended with Greg's public humiliation. I hadn't considered the aftermath, where I would go, what I would do. I'll figure it out, I said, but uncertainty crept in. Was I really ready to blow up my entire life? As if reading my thoughts, Liz said, You can stay with me as long as you need. We'll get through this together. My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. Working late, don't wait up. Love you. The casual love you made me want to scream. How many times had he sent the same text to Meredith? As I stared at the message, another text came through from Paisley. We need to talk again. There's something you should know before you do anything. I showed the text to Liz. What do you think? Could be a trap, she said. Maybe Greg suspects something and put her up to it. Or maybe she knows something important. I typed back to Paisley. When and where? Her response was immediate. Now, the park bench near the fountain. I grabbed my jacket. I have to go. Want me to come with you? Liz asked. No, I need to do this alone. The park was quiet at this hour, just a few joggers and dog walkers. Paisley sat alone on the bench, her face pale in the fading light. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat beside her. What's this about, Paisley? She took a deep breath. I lied to you earlier, about Greg and me. It wasn't years ago. We were together 6 months ago. The world tilted sideways. 6 months ago? We were already engaged then. Paisley nodded, tears welling in her eyes. It was just once. He said he was confused, having doubts. And Meredith? Started after me, as far as I know. She wiped at her eyes. I'm so sorry, Chelsea. I should have told you sooner. I sat in stunned silence, absorbing this new betrayal. Not just one affair, but 2, maybe more. Why are you telling me this now? I finally asked. Because whatever you're planning, you should know exactly who you're dealing with. Paisley met my eyes. And because I want to help. Help how? I asked Paisley, unable to keep the skepticism from my voice. You've been lying to me for months. Why should I trust you now? She flinched but held my gaze. Because I know things about Greg that could help you, and because I'm tired of being part of his games. The evening air felt suddenly colder. A jogger passed us, breath fogging in the twilight. What kind of things? Evidence, Paisley said. Texts, emails, things he said when he thought no one was keeping score. She pulled out her phone, scrolling to a conversation. Like this. I took the phone, my hand surprisingly steady. The texts were dated 3 weeks ago. Greg, Chelsea's talking about cake flavors again. Kill me. Paisley, just tell her the truth already, Greg. Not yet. Need to wait until after the merger announcement. Too much riding on this. Paisley, it's cruel to keep stringing her along, Greg. It's temporary. I'll break it off after the 15th. Clean slate with Meredith. I handed the phone back, a strange calm settling over me. You have more of these? Paisley nodded. Lots. He's been planning this for months, breaking up with you right after the party. He just didn't want the drama to interfere with his big moment. And Meredith knows about me? Yes. Greg told her you were already broken up, just living together until you found a new place. Paisley's voice softened. I'm sorry, Chelsea. I should have said something sooner. Why didn't you? She looked away. Because I'm a coward. Because part of me still hoped. She trailed off. That he'd choose you instead. I finished for her. Paisley nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. Pathetic, right? Even knowing what kind of man he really is. I should have hated her. She'd betrayed me almost as much as Greg had. But looking at her tear-streaked face, I felt an unexpected kinship. We were both victims of the same man's manipulation. What are you planning to do? She asked. I hesitated. Could I trust her, or was this another trap? I'm going to the party, I said finally. Beyond that, I'm still figuring things out. Let me help, she said, wiping her tears. Whatever you're planning, I want in. Why would you do that? Because he deserves it, and because maybe it'll help me finally get over him. I studied her face, searching for deception. Finding none, I nodded. Come to Liz's tomorrow at noon. We'll talk then. Back at Liz's apartment, I found her and Krista still strategizing. They looked up when I entered. What did Paisley want? Liz asked. I told them everything, the affair with Greg, the texts, her offer to help. You can't trust her, Liz said immediately. This could be a setup. I saw the texts, I countered. They were real. She could have faked them, Krista suggested. Or maybe Greg knows you're onto him and they're working together to find out what you know. The possibility hadn't occurred to me. You think Greg suspects something? You've been acting different, Krista pointed out. Staying away from home, not wearing your ring. He'd have to be completely oblivious not to notice. My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. Are you coming home tonight? We need to talk. My heart raced. Had I been too obvious? Had he somehow discovered my plan? What do? I showed them the text. Go home, Liz said after a moment. Act normal. If he suspects something, you need to throw him off the scent. I don't know if I can face him without falling apart. You can, Krista said firmly. You're stronger than you think. An hour later, I walked into our apartment. Greg sat on the couch, a glass of scotch in hand. He looked up when I entered, his expression unreadable. Hey, I said, aiming for casual. Sorry I'm late. Liz needed help with some work stuff. Sit down, he said, patting the spot beside him. We need to talk. I sat, leaving space between us, my heart hammering. What's up? I've been thinking about us, he began, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. About the wedding. This was it. He was going to end it. All my plans for the party would be for nothing. What about it? I managed to ask. I think we should postpone. Not cancel. Postpone. He was still playing the game. Postpone? I repeated, trying to sound surprised rather than furious. Just for a few months, he said, reaching for my hand. I let him take it, fighting the urge to pull away. With the merger happening, work is insane right now. I can't give our wedding the attention it deserves. I nodded slowly, as if considering his words. I see. You're not upset? I forced a smile. Of course I'm disappointed, but I want our day to be perfect. If that means waiting, then we wait. Relief washed over his face. He hadn't expected it to be this easy. You're amazing, he said, leaning in to kiss me. Most women would be freaking out. I kissed him back, tasting the scotch on his lips, imagining they were Meredith's just hours earlier. I'm not most women. No, you're not. He smiled, pulling me closer. That's why I love you. The lie hung between us, almost tangible in its audacity. Later, lying beside him in bed, listening to his steady breathing, I made my final decision. No more doubts, no more hesitation. Greg had made his choice, and now I was making mine. I slipped out of bed and texted Liz, I'm all in. Let's make him regret the day he ever thought he could play me. Then I texted Paisley, noon tomorrow, bring everything you have. The party was 3 days away, just enough time to ensure it would be a night Greg Harvey would never forget. The Westbrook Hotel's grand ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and success. Men in tuxedos and women in cocktail dresses mingled, champagne flutes catching the light as they clinked in celebration. From my position near the service entrance, I could see everything, including Greg at the center of it all. Meredith by his side in a red dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. Are you sure about this? Liz whispered beside me, adjusting the lapel of her borrowed catering uniform. We'd slipped in with the staff thanks to Krista's connection with the event coordinator. I've never been more sure of anything, I said, though my hands trembled slightly as I straightened my own uniform. The past 3 days had been a blur of planning and pretending, playing the understanding fiancé while secretly preparing for tonight. Greg had been so wrapped up in the merger that he barely noticed my distraction, my frequent absences. The missing engagement ring I claimed was still being cleaned. There's Paisley. Liz nodded toward the bar where Paisley stood in a sleek black dress, looking nervous but determined. She caught my eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. Everything was set. It's almost time, I said, checking my watch. 9:30. 15 minutes until Greg's speech and his special announcement. Liz squeezed my arm. You don't have to go through with this. We could leave right now, and you could confront him privately tomorrow. For a moment, I wavered. Was I really going to do this? Publicly expose Greg and humiliate not just him, but myself? Everyone would know I'd been played for a fool. Then I saw him laugh at something Meredith said, his hand resting possessively on her lower back, the same way it had rested on mine countless times. The same practiced gesture, the same practiced smile. No, I said firmly, he doesn't get to walk away from this clean. At 9:40, Roland tapped a knife against his glass, calling for attention. The crowd quieted as he introduced Greg, applauding as my fiancé, no, my ex-fiancé, took the small stage at the front of the room. Thank you all for coming tonight, Greg began, his voice confident, practiced. This merger represents not just a business achievement, but a personal one as well. I moved closer, weaving through the crowd, Liz right behind me. Paisley caught my eye from across the room and began moving toward the stage from the opposite direction. As many of you know, the past year has been transformative for me, Greg continued. And tonight, I want to share something special with all of you. My heart pounded so loudly, I was sure everyone could hear it. This was it. Before I do that, I want to thank someone who's been instrumental in making this merger happen. Greg smiled, turning slightly. Meredith, would you join me up here? Meredith looked surprised, but pleased as she made her way to the stage. The crowd murmured appreciatively. She was beautiful, I had to admit. Tall, elegant, confident. Meredith joined our firm just 8 months ago, but in that time, she's become indispensable, Greg said, taking her hand. both professionally and personally. A knowing chuckle rippled through the crowd. This wasn't news to them. They'd all been in on it. I stepped forward, my catering uniform allowing me to move through the crowd unnoticed. 20 feet from the stage now. 15. In fact, Greg continued, reaching into his pocket, I can't imagine my future without her. The crowd gasped as he pulled out a small velvet box. Meredith's hand flew to her mouth in what looked like genuine surprise. 10 feet from the stage. Meredith, Greg said, dropping to one knee. Will you? Interesting proposal, Greg, I said loudly, stepping into the open space before the stage. Especially considering you're already engaged. The room went silent. Every head turned toward me. Greg froze, still on one knee, the ring box open in his hand. His face drained of color as he recognized me. Chelsea, his voice cracked. What are you doing here? I came to celebrate, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Your merger, your engagement, your extraordinary talent for living a double life. Meredith looked from Greg to me, confusion giving way to understanding. Your Chelsea, his ex-fiancé? Ex? I raised my eyebrows. That's news to me. As of this morning, we were still very much engaged, still sharing an apartment, still planning our wedding. I turned to the crowd. Or at least, I was planning a wedding. Greg was planning this. Murmurs swept through the room. Greg stood, closing the ring box, his expression hardening. This isn't the place, Chelsea. No. I stepped closer to the stage. Funny, you seemed perfectly comfortable making your announcement here, in front of all these people, on what was supposed to be our wedding date. Gasps and whispers now. Meredith stepped back from Greg, her face a mask of humiliation. You told me you broke up months ago, she said to Greg, her voice tight with anger. He told me we were postponing the wedding because of work stress, I countered. Turns out he's been lying to both of us. Greg's face flushed with anger. That's enough, Chelsea. You're making a scene. A scene? I laughed, the sound brittle even to my own ears. You haven't seen a scene yet. I nodded to Paisley, who stepped forward from the other side of the room. Greg's been playing us all, she said, her voice carrying across the now silent ballroom. He was with me 6 months ago, while engaged to Chelsea. Then he moved on to Meredith, while still planning a wedding with Chelsea. Roland stepped forward, confusion on his face. Greg, what the hell is going on? Greg's composure cracked. This is ridiculous. You're all overreacting. I was going to end things with Chelsea after tonight. I just didn't want to deal with the drama before the merger. The drama, I repeated, my voice ice cold. That's what our 3-year relationship was to you? Drama to be managed? I turned to face the crowd, making eye contact with as many people as I could. I came here tonight not just to expose Greg, but to reclaim my dignity. I wanted you all to know that I wasn't some pathetic, clueless girlfriend. I knew, and I refused to let him control the narrative any longer. The room was utterly silent now, all eyes on me. So congratulations on your merger, Greg, and good luck with your next engagement. I'm sure it will be as meaningful and honest as ours was. With that, I turned and walked toward the exit, head high, heart pounding. Behind me, I heard the eruption of voices, Meredith's angry accusations, Greg's desperate attempts to explain. I didn't look back. The night air hit my face as I pushed through the hotel's revolving doors, cool and clarifying after the stifling tension of the ballroom. My legs carried me across the marble-floored lobby and out to the fountain plaza, where water danced and sparkled under carefully positioned lights. I sat on the fountain's edge, suddenly aware of my racing heart, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. I'd done it. After days of planning, of pretending, of swallowing my rage, I'd finally exposed Greg for what he was. So why didn't I feel better? Chelsea! I looked up to see Liz hurrying toward me, still in her catering uniform, concern etched across her face. Are you okay? She asked, sitting beside me. I don't know, I admitted. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I just feel empty. You were amazing in there, she said. You should have seen Greg's face after you left. Meredith threw the ring at him and stormed out. Half the room followed her. The other half just stood there staring at him like he'd grown a second head. I should have felt satisfaction at that image. Instead, I felt a strange pang of sympathy. Not for Greg, never for Greg, but for the life I'd thought we had. The future I'd planned. All of it gone, exposed as a mirage. What happens now? I asked, more to myself than to Liz. Before she could answer, the hotel doors opened again. Paisley emerged, followed by Roland and Krista. They spotted us and walked over. That was quite a show, Roland said, loosening his tie. I had no idea, Chelsea. None of us did. I think some of you did, I said, not unkindly. You just looked the other way. He had the grace to look ashamed. Maybe. I'm sorry. Paisley sat on my other side. Greg's still in there, trying to salvage what's left of his reputation. It's not going well. Good, Liz said firmly. Is it, though? I looked at each of them. Will humiliating Greg change anything? Will it undo what he did? Will it make me feel whole again? Maybe not, Krista said gently, but it stopped him from hurting Meredith the way he hurt you. And it showed him he can't treat people like disposable props in his life. She was right, I realized. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about breaking a pattern, about refusing to be silenced or erased. The hotel doors opened again. This time, Greg emerged, his face flushed, tie askew. He spotted our group and hesitated before walking over, stopping a few feet away. Come to finish what you started? He asked, his voice tight with anger. I think you finished it yourself, I replied calmly. Long before tonight. You had no right to ambush me like that, to ruin everything I've worked for. Like you were planning to ambush me after the party? I stood to face him. With a breakup you'd been planning for months while I was still picking out wedding flowers? He flinched. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. I stepped closer. You know what your mistake was, Greg? Not the cheating, not even the lies. It was underestimating me, thinking I was too naive, too trusting, too in love with you to ever see through your facade. I did love you, he said, his voice dropping. At the beginning, I just fell out of love. Then you should have told me, given me the dignity of the truth, and you would have accepted that? Just walked away quietly? The question caught me off guard. Would I have? Or would I have fought, pleaded, tried to change his mind? I'll never know, I said finally, because you never gave me the chance to find out. Greg looked at the group surrounding me, Liz, Paisley, Roland, Krista, people who had chosen to stand with me rather than him. So what now? He asked. You've had your revenge, destroyed my relationship with Meredith, humiliated me in front of everyone who matters. Are you satisfied? I considered the question seriously. No, I said, I'm not satisfied, but I am free. Free of the lies, free of the doubt, free of wondering what I did wrong or how I could fix it. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my keys, removing the one to our apartment. I held it out to him. I'll be by tomorrow to get my things, I said. After that, we never need to see each other again. He took the key, his fingers brushing mine for the last time. For what it's worth, I am sorry. Not for tonight, but for everything else. I know, I said, surprising myself with the realization that I believed him. But it doesn't change anything. Greg nodded once, then turned and walked away, shoulders slumped, looking smaller somehow than the man I'd thought I knew. Come on, Liz said, linking her arm through mine. Let's get out of here. As we walked toward the street, Paisley fell into step beside me. What will you do now? I don't know yet, I admitted, but for the first time in a long time, that feels okay. We reached the sidewalk, the night spread out before us, full of possibilities I hadn't allowed myself to consider while trapped in Greg's web of lies. You know what I want right now? I said suddenly. Pancakes from that 24-hour diner on 7th. Liz laughed. Pancakes it is. As we walked, I felt something shift inside me. Not healing, not yet, but the beginning of it. The first step on a path that was entirely my own. You're going to be okay, Krista said, as if reading my thoughts. I looked up at the night sky, at the stars barely visible through the city lights. I know, I said. I already am. And in that moment, standing on the sidewalk with people who had seen me at my worst and still stood by me, I realized it was true. The pain wasn't gone, the betrayal still fresh. But beneath it all was something stronger. The knowledge that I had faced the truth and survived it, that I had refused to be a footnote in someone else's story. I had reclaimed my own.